Hey guys, I'm ahead of myself. Good morning, everybody. You got Lady Hippy at the bar. And she's still trying to put herself together like she's on the 6 o'clock news and just got there at 6:03. It's gonna be another one of those days. It's generally one of those days. I like these. I can hear everything, especially myself. That part I'm not so happy with. Here we go. Hopefully, I'm not too much in y'all's face this morning. Well, I've seen there's been another new development in the Fannie Willis trial in Fulton County, also known as Atlanta. And for purpose of entertainment only, I decided we would pop in and out of a bunch of different things. I see they're trying to get everybody on a contract now about these new shots for COVID or whatever they are. See, that's going to bug me. Hold on, I'm going to switch a room. There we go. Yeah, now I'm not trying to choke myself, which again, it's a bad day. We'll see where that goes. I'm going to be here all week. Get the like already. I need some more. Come on. Of course, now being told by a family member it's this shit, referring to my podcast, that was a little daunting. Eh, I've been said worse. And believe me, I said worse back. So we're good. Unlike Fannie Willis there, I think she's having a few problems. Nearly paying her new lover, who is an attorney of very small fame, and then putting him supposedly attached to the Trump case for Fulton County, also known as Atlanta. Love how they do the counties like you don't know where the hell it is. It's just, pick up a man. Shoot, Google it. So he's being grilled, of course, again. Popped in there, same old, same old. Didn't have the smartphone, pardon me, records to throw at the guy this morning, or they're leading up to it. I don't know because the judge overrules everything. So maybe he hasn't seen the news either. It's not so. It's not really in the news. I take that back. We don't. The news I watch is like German. I've said it before. Germany, Switzerland, Israeli news. I watch them. They're actually news, and I like CBN network, which was a shock of my life because I would have run screaming to turn it 40 years ago because it was always about the Robertsons. In fact, my favorite broadcaster is Mr. Robertson. I believe he would be a grandchild, perhaps, of the original man. I liked him, don't get me wrong, but I hate to be preached at. And when they first opened that channel, it was a bit like that. So, but now they do really good and they report about the news of the world, not just here. And thank God there's somebody who does here now because like we could have 3 volcanoes going off. We wouldn't bloom and know unless it mattered on weather. You can't make this stuff up. I changed the description on this, by the way. I probably run off on another tangent, but I put in social Woodstock first because this is what we've got. And they're already talking of doing things like having us all sign these stupid they're not signing no contract says you can take care of everything when I get COVID or whatever the heck else, but the basic rights of you're signing away your right to do anything. I mean, they can lock you in a room for 3 weeks or kill you. You don't know. It takes away every right you have as an American, and there's few of those left. Believe me, probably because they know this. These Southern boys. I'm from the North. I'm from Chicago originally, and then all over the world in the Army. But my husband is he's a Creek rather. I'm sorry, and the Creek and the Cherokee used to kind of like live next door to each other. It was all Georgia, Alabama, and Florida that was the Creek and the Cherokee, and they got along fine. So, in any event, he's the chief of the Creek Nation. And as he puts it, he's a card carrying member because the National Bureau of Indian Affairs, he's registered, but as well as his daughter. And I believe their grandchildren with one active duty. So, I'm sure they figured that out. Let's see. I went way over there. I don't even know what I was going to try to tell you. Uh, it's going to be, yeah, one of those mornings. Yeah. So I didn't want to interfere with a lot of things. I think I mentioned before that my family is really my husband's family, although the birth family interchanges and intercrosses in between those because his sister used to be married to my biological half brother. I'm afraid they both are deceased now, but he still has family members, and some of them are mine too. It's plenty confusing, I know, at this early in the morning. But as I was saying before, I recalled that I needed to put on my big girl panties before I got up here. Didn't see much going on different with the trial. I decided I would remind everybody it's for entertainment purposes open. And yes, I'm going to be here all bloody week. Get up. um, yeah, I'm not going to stop until they throw me off. This is the last thing that we have that we can make a difference with. And they're already talking about doing something about social media as far as YouTube goes. I believe that's again why YouTube put a premium channel in so you can buy the channel. I'm not doing that, and I'm going to continue to podcast for as long as I can. I can do the paid promotion thing and pay so much time, but you need money to make money. I know they say if you want to make money, it needs money to make money. There's a lot of us out here in America that didn't pay off our student loans. They didn't give us back our unemployment. They didn't put us in hotels when we were homeless. Ask any guy around that's out on the street. Yeah. Dan and I disagree with organized religion because where the hell is the church? Pardon my French. Where the hell is the church? Why aren't they out there with food? Why aren't they out there with bedding? Why aren't they out there bringing them into the parish? When I grew up, that was the church's job. Now, again, I don't deal with organized religion. I don't like being preached to. I have read the Bible and many others on top of that. And I can tell you that the biblical is from the Torah, especially the Old Testament. And before that, they got it from somebody else. And again, I touched on that with Tutmosis, called Moses, with his brother Aaron, who was the priest for the first temple. Yeah. Uh-huh. I found it interesting that the Israelis or the Jews, but I hate to say the Jews because there are 12 tribes missing. They're supposed to be trying to get home. I don't know. God got taken into captivity by Nebuchadnezzar, whatever his name is, the Sumerian king. I don't know, maybe it was a Babylonian king. It was Babylonian. In any event, yeah, they disappeared, and they're all supposed to come back from this diaspora. So I prefer the term Israelis. And they've been dealing with this war for 75 years. Only it's been a one-sided war. They die, and the other ones keep doing it. They die some more, and the other side keeps doing it. They die again, and the other one sign a peace treaty. They start dying again, and they rip up the peace treaty. 75 flapping years. Now, I'm sorry, as an American, they wouldn't, and they didn't defend my country. I know a lot of us homegrown terrorists, as they now call veterans, who would and are having to step into the gray here. Because the National Guard is responsible to the state that it's attached to. It's not under just the president's pen. Thank God for the founding fathers. I'm not sure about the National Guard, but I'll be looking that up too. So we've got all those to talk about. But again, I have to really remind you guys, hit the like again. Just share this sucker. I know you all got friends. I know y'all are tired. I know y'all don't have even the time to probably watch me at this time. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to move the hour of the channel to. You can still see it. I do it all the time to do my editing. I'm looking at it on the big screen and on my Chromebook to do changes and whatever. So anytime you want to see me, even if I'm not on the live stream at that time, throw your comments in there. I swear to God, I'll get back to you. Swear to whichever God you want to call. Because I believe in all of them. I believe in the freedom of religion. It's just that I also have the freedom to not believe in organized religion. Because any religion that the pastor can go buy 2 jumbo jets with the money from what he's been given to preach the gospel, They're so, wow, it's just, why are these 400,000 people giving, even if 400,000 people give $1, it's $400,000. What are these people doing in there? Have they read the Bible? This guy won't, he flat out will not talk about hell. Now, it's not actually in the Bible per se, besides being judged upon, you know, basically like review, and you go, oh, that was not a good one. You go, oh, I was pretty, oh, not that one. I'm not looking for it. Most people really are not afraid to die to take the next step forward. It's how we die that we just are not happy with. We just don't know. We're not looking for that crane to lose the ball and hit us in the face. I'm just saying there are nicer ways. So, I watch psychics. John Edwards is one of my top guys that are alive still. Edgar Casey, the sleeping prophet, is actually my number one still. He died at 45 before the end of the world. I predicted it. This man, he was amazing. I don't have time to get into it here, but you should look him up, especially on like hair treatments. If you're bald and how to grow your hair back, check Mr. Casey. They've got they still have a museum, a working area, and they send people around the world to investigate things that he had said while under. And nobody put him under. He would just slide into sleep and then be at the cash records, and he could tell this person, he's checking them, and they're on 29th Street on Sibley Boulevard in Chicago. He's not. They had a telegraph. So I've got the body. The body has this. Here's the bloodstream. It's going to need a little bit more of this, etc. So much so that those people who were declared, basically, you're going to die. You have 6 months. That are terminal. They were declared terminal. The American Association for Doctors gave him a charter to work on terminal patients, and he saved, I think it was over 90% of them. You really can't shake a stick at that, because it's not like he was operating on them. It's not like he put him on chemotherapy. No. He said, well, this lady took a fall off a horse, and this disc in her back needs to be realigned. Take her to it, get an adjustment. She'll be just fine. Now, if he hadn't done it, if he hadn't been given that telegram, and if he hadn't been able to do the things he did, the child would have died. It was just a child, 14 years old. And I could tell you story after story after story, but again, I won't. Just check out, Edgar Casey, Sleeping Prophet. We have several good ones. Raymond Moody, he's great on reincarnation and the evolution of the soul. So along those tabloids, I thought I'd veer off into those just a little bit this morning. Um, Again, throw some comments in there, guys. It's social media, social Woodstock. You're at the bar with a baby booming hippie. We'll put it that way. I'm an Army veteran, a published author. No, I am not as good as Joe Rogan, but I will still be here all week. So come and visit me here. I throw it in on Facebook, and I get a couple back from Facebook. Then I get some, of those family members that are, well, we'll take care of those later. In any event, I do pop it in there. So I do have some friends, I think, on Facebook. We're all from different eras, different states, different countries. So, and again, the time frame may not be good for most of those people. Again, we all have to work till we're 90, and they don't give that money back either. Anybody trying to get their unemployment back after they retire and they've never used it? Try hand. Anybody? No? Yeah. They're going to draw that out to your dad. I mean, you can go to court, but you're not going to get nowhere to your dad. Even then, they can drop the case. It's just, I want you to do 500 freaking weeks on this weasel of a DA. She's a traitor. She's a coward. She's a liar. She's a thief. And that's just the good list. You can't take government grant money and do what you want. Spend $1 million on, and give another $1 million to a boyfriend. And then, I pay everything in cash crap. Who buys that? Anybody? Show here? Yeah, nobody. It just, at this point, you're like, how come you need more time? Oh, it's because the judge is still playing for her team. I saw the judge doing it again this morning. I was like, did you see the news, dude? They know you're a campaign contributor. That alone says you can't do this anymore. And he's still doing it. He should have been recused from the bench this morning. And since he hasn't been able to do it for himself, It should have been done by the AMA. Or I'm sorry, they say American Medical. Let's just say the guys that run the lawyers, because I might have that wrong too. I might need to be an adjuster after all this morning. My sinuses have decided to go, what? Springtime. I got a little dwarf that we can't see. It's like having a permanent supernatural thing going on, whacking you between the eyes, and you can't see that sucker. I can't smudge him. I can't throw holy water on him. I'm stuck. They give me something that the VA does. It's actually Nexium. And have you seen the price of Nexium? I mean, does the police know about this stuff? At $43 still. That's what you used to have to pay after your deductible. So now they're just getting your side of it only. But it doesn't make them happy. Cold medications, those little NyQuil stuff, they went all the way through the roof. $15. I'm like, screw you. I'll make a tincture. I will go out there and I will get this particular thyme or rosemary or whatever I'm using and grind it up and bring it to oil and put it down and store it. In 90 days, I got something that's better than morphine. So they need to keep that up because the next generation needs to learn this. I have had to relearn it because in my day, being adopted by parents who had been through World War One, II, the Depression kind of thing. Dad worked in the CDC camps and was in the Pacific in the Navy in War II. So uh, yeah, jelly reserves and all of those things were done. We had peach trees, we had pear trees, rather pear trees, they purred too. Pear trees, we had cherry trees, we had apple trees, we had plum trees. All of that fruit was taken down and then stored, after you believe the amount of sugar you got to use to do this stuff, though. I mean, you're making 50 pounds of sugar. I'm like, oh my God. And this would go on for days, Every weekend, the women would get together, generally moms. I don't know. I think most of them had the apartments up in Des Moines, and they would come down to our house. We had a big old house and, lots of room. So there was, room for all the ladies at the same time to be doing some part of the preparation. It would go faster. And my part of the preparation was cleaning up. So sometimes I get to hear little snippets. So I knew some things. And I had a book, and I've lost it. I got to reorder it. It's the best book I have ever had on this. And she's got a commercial now that's on all the time. I can't remember the name, but it's like useful herbs, something along that line. So, and this book is astonishing. It tells you what to do, how to do it, where to find it, where to pick it. It's perfect, and it's all coalesced into the one book. It's better than the one I used to have. That she is. I mean, and I've done this before. It was like the 80s, and it's like a haze. So, I got to start over. And I say Woodstock because it was a peaceful protest. Not one person got arrested. It's time for all of us to talk to each other. We all need to say, hey, this is nuts. We're sending billions upon billions. And I can see it. And I hate to agree to it, but Israel needs to be backed by the United States. And they need to be backed by everybody who's an ally at the UN, or is it NATO? One of them is, you shoot one, we all come against you. I haven't seen that yet. Just saying. Not sure why anybody's paying them. But, our taxes aren't going to what it should be. Our churches aren't going with the money where they should be. They're not fixing the roof. They're not putting in 15 beds because they know there are homeless people. They're not opening the soup kitchen. They're buying freaking planes. What the hell? At what point do you people go, I don't want to buy his plane? I mean, this is the same one that had the shooting at the church, and it was here in Georgia last week before. One person only was killed and shot 13 people. I can't think of Joel Osteen. That's the one. It's the usual Tommy, whatever his name was, Faye Bakers, the Bakers. We used to have T-shirts with makeup smeared on, so we'd run into Tammy Faye Baker. And they were one of the first super churches. I call them super churches. I call them super ripoffs. I mean, these people brain dead, and they're kind of idiotic. It's not church. It's a cult. It's actually worse than a cult. I've never seen a cult with 40,000 members or whatever. And this guy has racked them up. He's just one. And they got another shot of another preacher, can't think of his name, getting super ugly with a woman who was a reporter. He didn't like her question, which was, why do you fly first class when your parishioners drive here and don't have enough money to do that kind of thing? He didn't like that. And then she said something else about him being a racist. And he had her hand, he was shaking her hand, and he jerked her right up into his face and said, I am not, don't you ever say that. I mean, I was like, ooh, I'd have done slapped the piss out of it. The jerk alone would have guaranteed that. But no way he would, he ain't got in my face. When he gets up, he can try again. You know? I mean, and this poor reporter, and she was young, and she was just like totally in shock, because this guy flipped the switch, and it was Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, or Hope, what's his name, if anybody can get it from that generation, you know. I mean, ugly, ugly. Look at him eyes, have some cold, cold eyes. That man don't care about nobody. He certainly is shooting, don't care about anybody they call God, the Lord, Spring Being, wherever you're from, you know. And those are the ones that get so PO'd at you in a church. If you say, I got this question, and you lead off with one of those, 15 members jerk you outside. I learned not to go to a mega church. It's just not a good thing. Sometimes I get bored. Okay, so we've gone through that of the why and the wherefores of not belonging to a church. I don't wish to offend. No hate mail. What? I get no likes or dislikes, but I get the hate mail. I believe everybody has the right to purchase. I was thinking Catholic and the purchases they may have got to it. They've got every right to pursue any religion they want, believe in what they want. I'm not trying to criticize their belief. I'm actually making a joke about my belief because I figure I'm wrong, way wrong somewhere, and it's not going to turn out that great for me. But there are some very interesting ones that have talked about the other side. Very interesting. And yes, I happen to know there's another side. I've died twice. And you remember that stuff. When you come back, you can tell the others what they were doing, what they were saying to who. And you also still remember what was said to you on the other side. And both times I was hot. They said I had to come back. I was like, ah! Yeah. Like every nerve in your body is like, oh, just dying. Yeah. And you can't. So, yes, I've had days like that. And as far as Jesus Christ, I will say Yeshua, uh, and that's the way it was pronounced. The Christo Christ is from the Greek. Yeah, he's a real person, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, I could put that in the court law beyond a shadow of a doubt. He's just as real as I am sitting here. There's a young girl that painted him. She passed, I think she was 4, and she came back. And when she did, she began to paint. And she didn't paint, she painted walls with the most beautiful things you have ever seen in your life. And you can buy a print of them, but that's $15,000 for the print. That's how blooming good she is. It's like they can step off the canvas, like you can just feel the warmth. I only saw a camera view of a picture of that picture, and I knew then that's him. I mean, just looking at a picture of a picture of a picture. So I think meeting him is going to be very interesting. So yeah, but I think what everybody's missing here is the fact that the Bible's been changed into so many languages, at least ours, the King James Version, which everybody uses. By the way, guys, there's a Geneva one out there somewhere. Then there's the forbidden texts. And yes, they were forbidden and taken out of there. There was, was it 1600, no, 690, and the Nicene Council anyway, in the late 600s. And that was held by Charlemagne, Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, Charlemagne, based in now Istanbul. Of course, back then it was Constantinople, or it became that after him. In any event, he decided he wanted everybody to read and know the same thing, himself included, so that they had to have the exact same thing in the Bible. So lots of stuff got taken out. And that was just the first time. My point being is, do the research. Don't just go to church. Yeah, go to church if you want to, for sure. But read. Read it for yourself. Yeah, you're never going to get past the who begat, who begat, who begat, get. Yeah, no, not unless if you can't sleep, read that. It's a guarantee. But you can get on it. I mean, you can read Genesis. Again, the begats you can skip. I like Psalms, but they're hard to go through. Again, another good one for nighttime reading. Um, the Gospels all seem exactly the same. I think it's Luke's. It's a little bit different. I think as to who found that had. I prefer Yeshua. In any event, that he was not there. I'm also, I love Dan Brown anyway, but I did my own research. And Mary Magdalene, for one, was not a whore. Church of me with that. Magdalene was a city, just saying. She was Mary from Magdalene, the city. She was not, and she was rich. And it's been found out and speculated about, I'll say, that she was the one funding uh, the disciples. And he was Jewish. And that's kind of a thing. You got to marry and have kids. It's kind of a thing. And he was Jewish. He wasn't Christian. He wasn't Catholic. He wasn't Muslim. He wasn't. He was Jewish. He was a practicing young man of the Jewish faith. He just reminded them of what God expected of them and what they were supposed to do and what they weren't supposed to do. He knew things, of course, he knew things. He went through pain, he went through crying and so forth. He was just a human being. He said so. He also believed in reincarnation. Those were ripped out of the Bible. I'm just saying this is where you got to do your own paperwork. Billy Carson is a good one to go to if you're curious about what you should be looking into or what you would like to look into. Um, that's not. I mean, I go back and forth with that, but I don't want to advise anyone. Just stating a fact that these things are all different, and they all need to be looked into to make an informed decision in your lives. Um, and for one thing, I read really well, and I don't want anybody to read to me. I'll learn Braille. So don't read to me, don't preach to me, because usually you're preaching it out of the book, and you haven't read it till this morning anyway. And that's just the way I am. That doesn't mean everybody else is. Giving y'all time to think and pop in the comments. No takers, huh? Well, I'm not going anywhere. Hit the like, share, subscribe. I dare you. I never could turn a dare down that I could win. And turn down the rest of them. In any event, we have all that stuff going on at the same time as everybody's trying to go to work, raise their kids, don't lose their house. And these people are still big, and that's just from your cities. I mean, then you got the billions the president's stealing to send everywhere. I hate it for the Ukraine, but they cannot and never could win. And I admire them for trying to. But they never will win against Russia. There's no way. And the Ukraine used to be a big part of Russia for many decades, or actually centuries, I think it is. I haven't delved off into their history a lot. And I have to admit, that side I don't know much on. I didn't like the whole Bolshevik kill the kids thing. The Tsar or not, wife and kids. Come on. I don't like that. It's been throughout history. That doesn't mean I like it or have to. Usually at that point, I have to walk away and try a different area because it upsets me. So, again, look into your own things. If you've got questions, look it up. Google's great, man. It's got everything. I swear. I don't know how they did that, but they did a damn good job. I mean, there are other stories I could get into, but I see I've got half my time in already. My husband is cat sitting because half the cats are still down here asleep on the floor. Pixie must have got out because she's the racer through the house. She likes to run, which may be my husband trying to come out. My voice this morning. I don't feel well. Just ignore me. Mm, that ought to do it. My friend ended up having to work longer yesterday. So, like I said, she's playing. I didn't get to see her then. So I'm hoping she's still going to come by today. She's going to try. Um, like I said, I didn't feel so hot. My son hasn't felt good. They got this contract they're wanting to put through. Who is, believe it or not. I may be wrong, but I think it's who. In any event, they want us to agree to these things of all kinds of stuff. Basically, it'd be like Nazi Germany, and they came and decided you had Jewish background. They're like, yeah, best way I could describe it anyway. I don't trust the government enough to sign anything or agree to any such thing like that. Never. So you know what they're going to do next, right? There's a reason they want to monetize our money. What happens if you monetize it? You don't see it, do you? Do you see it now? If you want to, get some cash back at your ATM. You can still see the greenbacks. But when they digitize it, what do you get then? This is what I want the social Woodstock in. Because the rights of the people have already been trampled on. It's almost as if we don't have a Constitution and a Bill of Rights. I mean, we do, but they ignore them. Or it's not relevant to today. The world has changed since. No, those fundamental rights never change. Never. And if you do change them, you just put a target on them. That's all. And I'm praying that what I'm seeing here is not something our government would approve. But at the same time, I don't have a lot of faith in the government. I have never had a lot of faith in this government. I have a lot of faith in democracy. I love America. But when they do stuff like they're doing now with the southern border, and now they're deciding to get off their cans. So we'll see how that's written down in history. I went to New York. A bunch of people, all the migrants had been bused there. You gotta love that. New York is like, I can't afford a hamburger in New York. It's so expensive. It's like $20 for a gallon of gas. It's stupid expensive. So they send all these guys to New York, and there's no women. It's just guys. And this was from Africa. And this was from, Guatemala. None of them from the same place. And they ask him, "Who will you vote for? Do you have to know? Do you have to have IDs to vote?" No, they all knew they didn't have to. And they said, "Do you have any idea who you want to vote for? Do you know who's running?" To a man, they all yelled Biden. So now we're buying votes from 15,000 countries and bringing 11 million people over to vote without an ID. Check that out, guys. But you still got to stand in line and put yours in? I'm not. Investigate more thoroughly what the Electoral College is and what it does and when it does it. And when you see these, what they call primaries that you're seeing now on television, that's supposedly where they get the voting. So what the hell does it do any good to any of us standing in the snow, in the rain, in the heat to cast a ballot in November? Why? Why? How is it important now? I don't even know when the primary is for Georgia. I'm sure it'll be all over the place. But I don't think they open polling booths for that. I haven't seen none. I've been here 30 years off and on, 35. And I haven't seen them open up polling booths in April or March or whenever that's supposed to occur for Georgia. You know, he's already won the South Carolina primary. Of course, they're still locking him up in New York's. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny. It's actually I don't even know how they could bring this and say it's by law. It's not by law. There's no law that covers this, which is, again, their argument for the Constitution is too old for today's purposes. Horse hockey. Again, this is why my senator friend used to tell me to leave Texas and we used to drinking at the Watergate. Go actually to leave and go back to Texas from DC. You knew I love San Antonio, and he kept telling me I get shot if I say DC. I used to run down the lobbyists and give them hell. For fun. And they weren't half as bad then as they are now. I mean, they own DC. Do you guys know of 3 places that are their own countries? There are 3: London, DC, the Vatican. Those 3 are not part of any country. They are their own country, including London is its own country. So you got religion, you got business, and you got military. And that's what those 3 do. But that's not taught to you in school either, is it? If you ask me, and I had a great education, and I thought, oh, yeah, I'm good. And then I saw the Southern education. Oh, my God, I brought my son here. It was my response. And for various reasons. One of the worst school systems I've ever seen. And even though I had a great school, it was like a college. This wasn't one building, wasn't 4 buildings. My husband called it a bigger college campus than anything he ever seen before. And it was just high school. We had 6,000 people a year in my graduating class. So these weren't small schools. I mean, we fenced, we practiced archery, we practiced tennis, badminton, softball, baseball, what. I mean, you could pick it. It was just like college. You would pick what you had to have, your primaries. Then they called electives, which would be like swimming, archery, fencing. And so I took all of these. I danced every weekend at our schools. It was a quarter. You come in, there's pizza night, cokes, and you danced. You square dance, so maybe one Friday, you disco dance the next Friday, or Saturday night, actually. And then in high school, they started doing it Friday and Saturday nights because they made so much money. I bet you. But that's not the way it's done in the South. They don't have any art class, they don't have any music class. The sport they have is basketball and football. And that's it. That's all they have. Get down, pigs. You would get over there. Get up there. Go on. Pixie. And she'll squint her eyes at you like, I dare you. I love this cat. Then she'll lay down where she's at because she's going to tempt you to do it. Okay, I bet you won't do it. She's now in Daddy's bartender. Daddy's the bartender. And yes, all of you who've ever watched, and I pray that's more than just my family and friends, other friends on Facebook. I'm hoping to get out there again. Throw in the comments, hit the like, do something out there, folks. Come on in here before they stop us. Joe Rogan, these guys have been doing it for years, and I didn't run into it but occasionally. And at first, I just didn't think it would be interesting. I didn't tune in. There was only certain things I kind of looked at YouTube for, which was basically paranormal shows. I would pick those up instantly. Anything about history, and there's one guy in there that does great work for history. As good as the History Channel, which now you got to pay for. Wait a minute. Let me see if there's anybody left from buying my remote this month. I mean, it's just ludicrous. And they know that the food has tripled. At this point, I'm scared to even go to the store because I don't know if it's fake food or real food with a lot of chemicals. One time my coffee popped before I realized how bad this really was. I kept wondering why I was getting black mold in my toilet, my showers, because I'm fairly I'm an idiot about cleaning. I'm totally ODC. And seeing this, I kept going, how does my stuff get so dirty in 2 days? Where's this black and blue and pink? And I mean, it's all kinds of colors. It was like a kaleidoscope of dirt. If you waited until day 3 in the shower or the toilet, you had black and all these colors. I mean, they're coming out of the water. And we were on our 4th or 5th cup or pot to make coffee. And my husband's not much of a coffee drinker, but I really am. I'll be honest. I'll drink coffee all day till 2 or 3. No wonder I can't sleep. But So yeah, I didn't get all that either. Um, Something's going on here. What are they talking about with fake meat? I saw a video, and this again, guys, if you see me up here, go check out some of these videos. One of the videos, it was, I think, on Snapchat, might have been Instagram. I hear more about Snapchat. In any event, she had gone to churches to get the two wing or whatever. It's just a single thing, with the biscuit. And she's undoing this because she took a bite and she spit it. She was chewing paper. So she started doing the rest of them. They had taken paper and twisted it up, battered it, rolled it, and then deep fried it and gave it to her. It was nothing but paper, all of it. All of it, but the biscuit was paper. They deep fried freaking paper. Not sure what restaurants do stupid things where I go, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going. We go way back on carryout. There's a few that I trust, and that's slipping. With the fake meat thing, I've looked into it. Can't find much about it. Apparently, it's involved. Us and China are involved in this. I don't know. I mean, it makes no sense to me. So good luck with that. I would suggest you look into it. There are certain things on these boxes of everything you see that is literally poison. And again, you'll have to look those up for yourself. It's easy to find on YouTube. I just make a small list of things that I want to make sure I don't have in my food. And then you have to look for it without it. Well, if you go, Walmart's pretty good, but it's going to be 3 times the cost of the one that has the poison in it. I'm just saying, you know, they're aware of this. The government's aware of it. Everybody's aware of it now. I would hope. I can't swear to that. Excuse me, my eyes. But I can tell we have spring here because we haven't yet had the yellow rivers. I call them rivers because there are rivers of pollen. But once it starts to get a little bit like spring, this is what happens to my eyes. I can't stop crying. I sound like I'm talking from the bottom of a trash can, which you never know I might be. One of those different versions of our universe, they talk about. God only knows what the super collider's doing, but I'll tell you what, I was raised on Jiffy because it was less expensive than Skippy. And now they wanted me, and I saw this one. I went to the store one day. I hadn't had peanut butter in a while. The kids are all gone. I went to the store one day and said, I'm going to have some peanut butter and jelly. I'll get a small one. Because my husband was driving. It was stupid to cook all the time. So I picked up, I saw some Jiffy because it was automatic that you wouldn't pick up Jiffy because they only had Skippy and Jiffy. That's what they had. I didn't even see generic until the 80s. I think that's when they came out with it. And it was generic. Anyway, I picked up some Jif. And I was like, oh, they rebranded. Well, I thought they'd done that in the last couple of years. No. It's never been Jiffy, they're trying to tell me. Now, they call it the Mandela effect. And I got to admit, I was walking through my living room one day on my lunch hour. And yes, I went home. I used to work that close because we had 3 chows during this particular period. So I would come and take them outside and then bring them back inside into the air. They're very hairy, very hot. And I've heard that Nelson Mandela had passed away in jail and when his scheduled funeral broadcast would be. Well, I joined that broadcast. I watched that broadcast. Um, I watched Lady Diana as well. I mean, I watched Queen Elizabeth as well. These were people that were important in our lives. So I knew I had watched it. And I admit I have this gap of the 80s because a lot of it was like in DC. It's like somebody came with a neuralizer and went, beep. So I had these gaps. And I was like, wait, just a, I stopped in my tracks when they said suddenly that Mandela was the president. And I was like, huh? Of the UN at the time and had divorced his wife and had remarried. And I'm like, he died in the 80s. Even I couldn't remember what. I knew it was late 80s, but I couldn't. I think that most of us think it was like 88, 89, something to that effect. But we went to the funerals on TV. And yes, the man was dead. Now, suddenly, he never died. He's not been in prison for 20 years. He's remarried. When he died, he had one wife and a widow. And she was writing, I think, a book. But I mean, something happened right there in the cusp between the last of the 80s and the early of the 90s. And I mean, for everybody, I was covered up being my own attorney trying to get a divorce after firing three of them that cost me $6,000. And that was just for the phone calls. You can't make this stuff up. So I said, okay. And I went to the law library and I got all the stuff and I went over and got on my computer at work and typed it all up, spit it out, and filed it myself. Cost me 75 freaking dollars. And they were charging me 150 for a phone call. But you showed me a lawyer who's not just as corrupt. I'll tell you what now. I don't know who's more corrupt. You could put three people up there and I wouldn't be able to pick them. The lawyer, the preacher, and the politician. Could any of you pick out which one maybe was telling the truth or might be more truthful than the other? I bet you can't. Bet you can't. I've been watching a liar sitting there on an attorney's chair who is the DA of Atlanta. This is not a small city. The tax base here is one of the highest besides California, maybe DC and San Francisco. California. It's high. They have two taxes on freaking food. Texas does not have a tax on food. Texas does not have a tax on gas. Texas doesn't take a state tax from your wages. When I got here, I had to pay 5 taxes more than I had been paying in Texas. I hated Georgia. I still hate them on the tax base. I think it's theft. I really do, because we met the other governor. I knew the other governor, Robert, through my husband, Robert. I can't say knew, but knew of him, knew well enough that my husband worked for his chicken company at Purdue and had gotten plenty of, medals, so to speak. I mean, he was #1 dog. And he would get the Christmas invitation. I think most of them did. I think that's the way it went. Because I would see other people, because I used to make brownies and stuff and drop them off. And the guys wanted to know what baked goods I sent. So anyway, it wasn't far from the house that he worked. So we went to one of the Christmas parties, and you didn't have to fancy dress or anything, but it was like, moderate dress. You didn't have to wear a ball gown, but you had to wear something nice. And it was at their new lake house. Oh my God. You knew when you saw it from 4 miles away. It was lit up too, by the way. But you knew that was over a $2 or $3 million cabin, as they called it, or lake house, as they called it. Most of us call them you rich bitches, but I admit the governor was nice. It was a nice thing that they did to bring all the employees to their, and they waited on them themselves. That they had his kids there. They were like their 30s, I think. And they waited on everybody. And he was a funny guy. He used to make jokes. And he was governor at the time as well. So it was a very nice thing for him to do. But they had owned this chicken. It's a chicken company called Purdue. But they had been owning it for over 100 years, I think. So a lot of their money did not come from politics. It's not a good impression at first if you didn't know he was a chicken farmer, basically, to break it down. And he wasn't a bad governor. And I think his brother was governor before him, or his father. Anyway, had been Purdue for a little while. And then we got Kemp. It's like, oh no. We got Kemp. So yeah, that's been interesting. Hadn't heard much of him in the news. Hadn't heard much of him doing anything. And here we are with the state DA, top position for a district attorney. Have to be elected. Didn't know that. I had no idea they had to be elected. And they're up there paying almost $1 million in cash because she doesn't keep a checking account. She keeps her money at home in her mattress. And I'm 22. I bet she knows me. Hillary Clinton will. I bet she's on speed dial with their best of buddies. Or she just studied her. That one's a corrupt one, I'm telling you. This woman, this Fannie Willis, she's beyond corrupt. She's a Karen corrupt. She's a Karen corrupt who knows that she can get away with it, and she's in your face telling you you're a liar when you know damn straight she's the one that's been lying all the time. She is doing that to the attorney, and the judge is upholding her, telling the attorney to shut up. That's been asked and answered. Go on. Yeah. Yeah. So that's been interesting to see. I never thought for a minute it'd be different, but maybe, and was hoping that today, since they had the sale records and it went viral, of course, on YouTube. This is another reason I warn everybody. They're going to start trying to find ways, if they're not already, because I've had some pulled, that regulate YouTube. So if we do want to all talk like we used to talk in the 70s and 80s, jump on board, come to the bar, bring a beer, you know, sit up here and talk to the brainless idiot. He's trying to go, hey, wake up. I'm not the only one saying this, by the way. There's a whole lot of folk I see all the time on YouTube. They will drop the video they're talking about. I haven't been doing that, but I think I'm going to add that. I think I'm going to start dropping in the video that I'm talking about. It's just, there's so many things that I jump from one topic to another to, because I might be talking about organized religion. I might be talking about the paranormal. I might be talking about current events. I might be talking about whether my shirt sleeves came out right. It's why it says anything and everything. But basically, everybody has to remember out there, this isn't my channel. This is your channel. You make this channel possible. And I want more feedback. I want to know what everybody's thinking about all this mess that's going on. I mean, you've got a president that everybody knows is in full dementia. I don't know if any of you have heard him speak, even the few times have managed to squeeze him in there. He makes not sense. Nothing he says makes sense. The past 6 times I've seen him speak, I was like, huh? What? The last time I saw him speak was this weekend about the Ukraine and about Israel. And he was standing there holding an ice cream cone with one of his security, the Secret Service act like you don't know who they are, but we know who they are. Just saying. So he's standing and this guy's holding this ice cream cone, looking at it, looking at the president like, what the hell do I do with this? Secret Service are fun. I love the nicknames they give them. If you ever heard of some of them, I'm sure you have. Mm. We even touched on the money today. We touched on the 3 countries, countries in and of themselves. And that right there should just raise the hackles on the back of your neck. I mean, your hair should be standing up going, there what? The Vatican was fielding armies still up until Mussolini in the late 30s took all of Italy for himself and told the Vatican they could have whatever it was they have now. I forget where they stopped them. I'm sure it was St. Peter's Square, but yeah, they ran a whole armies. Remember who killed the Templars, right? Yeah, that was the French king after Louis and the Pope. That's nothing. The Pope watched him and told him where to get Jewish people was overlooking and putting them in the cattle cars, for God's sake. The Pope. And I don't believe for a minute that the King of England, which he was at the time, said, I'm going to step down because I want to marry this woman and move to the Bahamas. No way. He was king. He just hadn't had a coronation yet. If you ask me, MI6 said, look, you can step down. You can have the cake for your brother or and go live wherever you want to. And we'll send you a yearly money or whatever. We'll give you an allowance. Or they can find out that you died in a plane accident, a car accident. Yeah. Even Diana said just before her death, Lady Diana was speaking to a reporter and said that she was frightened, that she knew of plans to kill her in a car accident so Charles couldn't be married. Now, and that was like within the week of her death. And then I said immediately upon seeing it, broke my heart for one, was boys. And that she had been murdered was no doubt in my mind. Same with John F. Kennedy. It wasn't that guy up in the school suppository with the bad rifle. No, what him. Mm. They carefully made sure that they didn't talk to anybody that saw anybody on the grassy knoll with a rifle or any of that. They didn't use any of that. Bobby Kennedy, they lost a door that was to the kitchen when he was shot, he was walking through the back of the kitchen at this hotel and shot in the head. But there were shots in the door of the kitchen. So how'd they get there? This gun that this assassin carried only shot 6 shots. They found 9 bullets, 3 from a different gun, I think, or maybe 4. I don't know. There was evidence all over the place, and they got rid of it. Bobby was killed, same as John, by the government. They were not puppets. Eisenhower didn't run again because he couldn't be a puppet, and he knew they would come after his family members. Him, it didn't matter. I wouldn't want to piss off the CIA, or for this matter, the FBI. They took out a 4-star general, for God's sakes. You can't do that. But they did. You can take out a president. You can't do that. But they did. How many times can you impeach a guy and find out he's not guilty and take him back out again when he's a civilian? Apparently 5 or 6. And again, that's why this channel says anything and everything. Cheers. Which is another reason I'm at the bar. I make full advantage of that. It's on some days. Like today when I can't breathe, it just makes me happier. I say for my timer, I'm going to have to get going. I did look at yesterday's broadcast, but I don't think I dropped it in Facebook. So I'll do my best to take a few minutes and run through this one and drop it to Facebook for those who can't sit and watch it live. Even though I drop it on Facebook, and I might open Snapchat. I'm not sure. I'm looking into it. But drop it on there. You can still put a comment in. It doesn't matter. If you pull it up on YouTube, it's just you have to just arrow up one. You can at least hit the like. You can hit the thumb from your remote. Most of you can also add a comment from your remote. I don't do all that. But I look forward every day to seeing yours. So I'm trying to also prove to everybody else my skin's a little thicker than they thought, and I'm not going to give up because I think there's a bunch of us out there, and we all need to talk. It's time. It's past time. We talked right up until the barcodes. And just before those went in, none of us had a second to talk anymore. And we moved here, Heather and Jan, and we could not keep up like we can now. It's cool. Friends might leave the city, the country, whatever. It doesn't matter. We can still stay in touch every day. And I love that. And I want to utilize that. I want us to keep that. So the rest of us out there, and even if you're a young blood, it could be my grandson, 25, you still have an opinion on stuff. You still know where it's wrong. Come out of here. Come see me. Comment, like, share. Get your buddies. I dare you. Find a question out there, guys. Find something that I wouldn't have a way to answer that you think I can't answer. I dare you. I absolutely double dare you to find something I don't know something about. I'm going to see who bites on that one. That'll be entertaining. And yeah, I'm still going to be here all week. But I will get off because I don't like to take over my extended hour. So all of you, again, that see me on Facebook or see me later on, you can still add comments, likes, dislikes, whatever you need to do. In the meantime, I hope to see you here. Wish it were Friday. Have a good one. Toodles.